Welcome back in, guys. We are continuing our, we'll call it the March through March. I don't know. That's a terrible name. We'll workshop that. But we've already done the Big 12. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It has been a really interesting college basketball season, to say the least. Something that's been somewhat consistent is the ACC. We still got our usual customers up top. But the middle has kind of shaken up a little bit. And there's some teams that have had really terrible seasons, some teams that have had surprise seasons. But it's definitely not as deep of a conference as we're used to. We talked about it with the Big 12. There you got like 10 teams in the top 40 in Ken Palm. The ACC, I'm really bearish on this year. I really don't like a lot of these teams going into the tournament, except maybe one, which I will get to. I never like Virginia because it's just an offense to the eyes with the way that they play basketball. It pisses me off and it makes me want to claw my eyes out. But this is one of these conferences where I think my pick is going to be the favorite, which I know I said Houston was my pick last time. I'm not betting them just because it's minus odds, but man, you look at the back end of this tournament. There's just not a lot of value, at least in terms of the long shots for me.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I always try to find one good long shot that I think is realistic. I think last year I had like Boston College was like the 14 seed. I had them like 400 to 1 or something, hoping they would win a game, and they did. I don't think I was able to hedge it though, but yeah, I have a good long shot here. I don't like to bet favorites usually. It has to be kind of the right situation, but I have a mediocre kind of mid-pack team, and then I do have a favorite.
I thought you were gonna say Wake Forest.
What's the favorite you like? I'll get to Wake Forest, but what's the favorite that you like?
It's so square, but I really like North Carolina, and let me tell you why. Well, number one, because they're extremely good.
North Carolina, yeah,
that's not a huge secret. They're the 1 seed. But I mean, I've watched both of those Duke games, and I think Duke is obviously their biggest competition. And Duke has not really given them very much of a fight on the road, at home. I think Carolina's kind of got their number right now. So if you're twisting my arm and you're making me pick, I would go with the favorite. But it's not for a lack of, ball knowledge. I just don't trust a lot of these guys. Wake Forest has been as unstable as they come this year. Clemson has really taken a dive here the past couple weeks. Pitt, I really don't know how I feel about, Jeff Capel's doing a great job. I don't know how I really feel about Pitt, and I hate Virginia. I'll never pick them. So,
yeah. Okay, I do agree with you on UNC. As square as it is, but it's like they've got the best player in the country, or the best player in the conference. They've got the best.
That's a bold statement.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to go that far. He's one of the best players. RJ Davis is amazing. Led by guards and March is kind of the way you want to go. I see them like plus 180 or plus 190. I think that's a pretty good price for them. They've kind of walked through the conference pretty easily, and I was looking back at some of their losses on the year, which aren't many, obviously. Lost by 2 to Villanova, which doesn't look as good now.
Yeah.
Lost close to UConn, lost close to Kentucky, lost to Clemson and Syracuse and Georgia Tech, which are all kind of weird. Yeah. The Clemson game, do you remember when they played Clemson? It was in the Dean Dome, and Clemson just shot the lights out. I mean, that's a fair loss if you're just going to lose to a team that is going to not miss a shot.
That's college basketball, sometimes.
That's college basketball. Yeah. I do like the UNC team a lot. I think they're playing, obviously super well. We saw them play really well against Duke at the weekend. As a 1 seed plus 180-ish range, I will take them because I just really think that they're that good. And like we said, like we're surprised to see Pitt as a 4 seed on here. Wake Forest is the 5 seed. They should not have much of a problem with either of them in the semifinal. Should it get to that? So I do like North Carolina. I'm going to put North Carolina down as a team I'm going to bet.
Do you can I guess and see who your middle of the pack team is? Because I feel like I know who it is.
Yeah, let me hear.
Virginia Tech.
It's not.
Damn. I kind of like Virginia Tech too. We can talk about them, but I want to hear yours first.
So I actually didn't even. I think I can't remember when it was. Maybe 2 years ago that I think we bet Virginia Tech in the tournament, and they went to the championship. Like they made a good run because you can kind of see it building in the weeks leading up to it. I didn't even look at that Virginia Tech Florida State 8-9 game because I was like, I'm just not going to bet against
because they're going to play
North Carolina, right? I was like, I don't feel it's like the Houston thing. I don't really feel strongly about doing that. Wake Forest is actually so much of a no for me that it is helping my case for taking Clemson at 12 to 1 as the 6th seed because we don't like Virginia. right? Virginia, in fact, the way that I kind of started this was looked at Virginia and was like, how much do I hate Virginia? They're 3-4 in their last 7 games, limping in to the ACC tournament. Those wins, by the way, a 2-point win against Wake, a 4-point win against Boston College, and then they beat Georgia Tech. Not great wins. And the losses are, Duke and the good teams, but Virginia is just absolutely limping into the tournament. I want nothing to do with them because they could get beaten with their whole.
I'll fade them in the first round again. Remember that was one of my favorite picks. I gave you the day one. I was like, Furman's beating Virginia.
Oh yeah, and everybody thought Furman was going to be Virginia, and guess what? Everyone was right because it was easy to see. Like when you can't score, you're not going to win a lot of games, and that's why
189th in adjusted offense. If you want to put your bread in that basket, have at it.
No, I'm not gonna do that. And actually, looking at the odds, like Virginia's the 3 seed, they're 20-1. Clemson's the 6 seed. It would have to play an extra game. And Clemson's 10-1, 12-1. So clearly Vegas favors Clemson more. Clemson, though, like you said, they've been in kind of a tough stretch, but they started off the year really strong. They've got a good player in PJ Hall, who's really nice. They split with, looking at the 11 and 14 seed, because they would play one of these teams. Miami's the 14 seed. What a fall from grace Miami had going.
I wanted to talk about Miami a little bit.
Yeah, they've lost 9 in a row.
He's going to be just livid. I don't know what happened there, man. They were, because it even looked like they had something sustainable going last year.
Yeah.
They beat Georgia earlier in the year, and we were like, oh yeah, Miami's like
same Miami. But same bulk of the team was back and everything. They're not only are they the 14th seed, they've lost 9 in a row. I mean, you can't get any colder coming to the tournament. They're going to play Boston College, who's kind of up and down. Clemson beat both of those teams, though, this year. They should not have much of an issue in the second round with either BC or Miami. And then Clemson earlier in the year played Virginia. Clemson won by 1 point. The line was Clemson -5. So if it kind of gives you an indication on a neutral floor, like Clemson could probably be favored against Virginia in the quarterfinals when that matchup happens. Clemson also, they played Duke at Duke. They lost by 1, put up a good showing. We said earlier they shot really hot against North Carolina, but that's a good win to have to play with them. And, looking at even a 7 seed Syracuse, they were 2-0 against Syracuse. They should have all their bases covered in terms of who they would play if they made the semifinals.
Yeah, and Clemson has some motivation too. They're not firmly in this tournament.
They're on the edge, right? They are on the bubble here. Go ahead and win 2 games and really solidify yourself. I think it's absolutely possible. Fading Virginia and taking Clemson at 12-ish to 1. I think is a really good move. I'm definitely going to do that. It's pro Clemson just as much as it's anti Virginia because we just don't like Virginia.
And Clemson profiles as a team that would give Virginia hell, just a team that can absolutely light it up from deep. And once Virginia, if they get in a hole, they're not coming back. The only way they win is if they control the game from the beginning. And if they don't do that, which is a pretty decent chance, it could be a long day for them. Clemson's
also got Joe Girard, who was good shooting guard. Syracuse, so he's playing this tournament. He knows these teams. He's been here. I think Clemson is poised for a run there, and I like their path. Should they play Duke in the semis? Like I said, they lost to Duke by 1 in Cameron Indoor. That's a great loss. 12-1 too. You can hedge that too if you wanted to. So Clemson's a good one. UNC and Clemson, and then I don't know. Let's throw out
Syracuse. Man.
Throw out the long shot. I couldn't get on Syracuse. Just super inconsistent. So I said, let's go to the other team that we don't like, and that's Wake Forest, the 5 seed. And let's fade Wake Forest. Give me 12 seed Notre Dame at 100-1. 100-1. Again, Notre Dame is not going to win the ACC tournament, and that's okay. They play Georgia Tech. It's the first game of the tournament, the 12-13 game. Georgia Tech 0-2 against Notre Dame this year. They were 2 close games, but Notre Dame pulled both of them out. Notre Dame's 5-3 in their last 8 games, so putting some wins together here. Notre Dame beat Wake Forest by 5 points. So I like where we're going with this Notre Dame thing. Notre Dame can easily beat Georgia Tech and Wake Forest and end up in the quarterfinals against Pittsburgh, and you've got a 100-1 ticket, and you're sitting really, really nice. Even if you wanted to start hedging the second round against Wake, you're probably fine. 100-1 should be good enough to do that. But looking at Wake, we have seen the last few years, and it looks like including this season, that like Steve Forbes is a good coach and all, and they've got a good team, but they're consistently like they're on the bubble and they're like one win away from really putting themselves into kind of the last four in conversation. And then they lose. They lost to Georgia Tech at home the other day.
Yeah, they had a bad. Yeah, that was I think that was even
Can't lose
that may
that.
have almost been a quad 4 loss. They lost 3 in a row. They lost to Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you can't. In Notre Dame, those are 3 bad losses. You can't lose at home to Georgia Tech. I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago where they were basically like win one game in the ACC tourney and you're in March Madness, and they lost to Boston College as an upset. So we've seen this happen. This is a trend now with Wake Forest. They could easily, just blow it against Notre Dame. But the other thing about Wake is they were one of the great home teams this season. Like Wake at home, completely different than Wake outside their building. They were 16-1 at home. They were 2-9 on the road. Only 2 wins outside of their home gym. They're going to Washington, D.C. It's in Washington, D.C. this year, which is weird. Doesn't feel right. But you look at these top 5 and 6 seeds and their road records, and it's these really good road records, and then like Wake's in there, and it's 2-9, and it just is really weird. It catches your eye. I think Notre Dame 100-1 is worth a few bucks to beat Georgia Tech and to give Wake a scare. They just beat Wake Forest, who's playing just not very good basketball at all. So I think it's worth a shot.
That's completely fair. And, I'll continue to be a square. Hey, I threw out Virginia Tech at least. I'm going to stick with North Carolina. Like I said, I've seen them beat Duke on the road. I've seen them beat Duke at home. And guess what? They're probably going to be playing Duke because Virginia's not that good, and I really don't see Pitt as much of a threat to them. So I don't know. Who's your winner? You gonna stick with Notre Dame, or you want to throw with somebody else?
Who's the winner here?
Do you like Duke or North Carolina more? Or should I just ask it that way?
Well, I'll say give me North Carolina beats Clemson in the championship.
Okay.
I'll say it is my prediction.
I like it. Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to keep the series rolling. We'll have SEC, Big Ten, and Pac-12. And, of course, we're going to have once we get the bracket in our hands, we're going to go through. We did pretty good last year. Like I said, we were hot on like FAU and Furman. I can't remember who else. We had somebody, I think maybe Michigan State when they met.
Oh, yeah. I had Michigan go to the Final Four. I was that close.
It was close, too, if it wasn't for Marquise Newell and Kansas State. But, yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll have all the March coming at you, and we'll talk to you soon.